So how do you keep motivated through difficult times?
That's a very good question. I mean, we can't be great and motivated every single day, but because I'm very passionate about what I do, I've got to stick back to why I'm doing it, which is to help the kids. That's what keeps me motivated.
So, and I'm a huge advocate for that because it's the only way, really, when you're starting your own business, it can be quite challenging. So, if you're living your purpose and passion, then that why always stays strong, doesn't it? Welcome to the Goddess Show podcast, voices of visionary women, inspiring female leaders by interviewing amazing guests to encourage us all to rise up. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Goddess Show podcast, voices of visionary women, inspiring female leaders. I've got a very, very special guest on today, and her name is Vickie Simos, and I'm going to tell you all about her right now because Vickie, you're a qualified counsellor and psychotherapist, and you've also worked a qualified personal trainer. You've worked with all ages. Predominantly, you work with children, teenagers, and you've been doing that for over a decade. And what I love is you deal with social, behavioral, and emotional issues, and specifically the neurodivergent, which I absolutely love. And in fact, I'm neurodivergent myself. So there you go. And you have some experience with depression and anxiety, having suffered yourself. And this is quite a common thing. I think it's 1 in 3 people suffer from anxiety. I suffered from anxiety and overcame it myself. And you're also a martial arts expert with over 20 years experience, 2 black belts in 2 different martial arts. That is absolutely amazing. So I can't wait for our interview. Welcome, Vickie.
Thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So tell me, what motivated and inspired you to start your business?
Well, as a young child, I had some issues myself, which included bullying and just felt like I didn't fit in the world. And which basically, as I got older, then I started realizing I had some mental health issues as well, started training in the martial arts, and then started seeking therapy. And that combination actually helped me. So, what I wanted was for young people not to get to adulthood and have to deal with this sort of stuff, which is why I started working with young people.
That's fantastic. And tell me, why are you so passionate about it, do you think?
Well, just to go back to what I just said, because I had the struggles myself, I don't want young people to have the struggle themselves. And especially now with social media and whatnot, and there's huge amounts of bullying and whatnot going on in schools at the moment. So I want these kids to be able to stand up for themselves, basically teach them to fight so they don't, using body, using words. And that's what I want them to do. I want them to be able to stand up for themselves because as life gets harder, things are going to get harder. Different people that they're going to have to deal with. So I just want them to get to understand all that from the younger age group, basically.
That's fantastic. It's so admirable. And also, by the sound of things, what you're doing is giving them tools that they can work with in later life as well. So, I would like now to ask you about your own inspiring story. If you'd like to share that for our viewers and listeners to inspire them as well.
Yep.
Anything?
As just going back to what I mentioned earlier, it was because I had some troubles myself as a young child. Just felt like I didn't fit in because I grew up in a country town, 222 kilometres out of South Australia, Adelaide. So through that, and funnily enough, just a little side joke, I actually started the martial arts because a boy that I like was in the class because
All
it was
right.
actually my brother that was doing martial arts, not me. And he told me about it. And I started doing it, actually became quite good at it. Started teaching from when I was about 16, 17 young children. And from there, just kept going with it. Took some time off to do some other things when I moved to the city, but it was, just a continuation from there.
And so just from that, would you say that it was martial arts and a combination of the therapy, etc., that you did that helped you overcome those childhood issues that you had?
Absolutely. I mean, we all, it's a never ending. We're always work in progress. I don't think we're
Yeah,
ever
I say
we're,
that a
we're
lot.
ever fixed, because things come up in life. But definitely the martial arts mindset really turned things around for me. And most recently, too, without going into detail, I wasn't in a very good headspace, and I started watching Cobra Kai, which is an offspring to the Karate Kid, for those that don't know. And it was just watching these kids, fighting and getting their bruises and all that sort of stuff, and the blood and the whatever. And I'm like, I've done that. I took on that and I got through that. I can certainly get through that. And I know it's easier said than done, and I'm not trying to simplify it, but it was just from watching that and having that mindset that started to turn things around for me again.
And that's
And
such a great message to for our viewers and listeners. It's fantastic because it is that mental strength, isn't it?
absolutely. And like I said, it's easier said than done. And that's why I wanted to develop the business to combine the martial arts and the counseling. Combine them both, do it separately as well, just depends on obviously who the client is. Because not everyone, and especially young people, can deal with a mainstream therapy of sitting across a desk speaking to a therapist. And so by integrating the active side of things, in my experience, you tend to find out more about a person than actually just asking general questions.
That's great. So on that, tell us about your business.
So yeah, gave myself a great segue there.
Yeah,
So
you did.
basically,
You did.
Thelo Active therapy, which for those that don't know, Thelo means I want, I need. It's a Greek word for that. And basically, what I do is combine or use as an alternative to mainstream therapies, incorporating the martial arts. And as you mentioned earlier, I am multidisciplined. I'm in 4 different martial arts, but it seems to be the most popular, and research also backs it up that boxing is very good for these types of things, which include also trauma, mental health issues overall, assists really well with the combination of the counseling. Because with boxing, your emotions come to the surface because it's a very one-on-one martial art. Whereas, I mean, they all are, but let's compare them to sports and stuff, which a lot of that is team. In boxing or any martial art, you're dealing with yourself.
That's right. And in
So
actual fact, they use boxing for anger management as well, don't they?
exactly right, which if you ask people that aren't in boxing would find that quite ironic. But, what it does, it actually creates new neural pathways and channels that anger in a different way, which, for scientifically is called neuroplasticity.
Yes. And it's a really healthy way to do it as well because you're not hurting anyone.
Exactly right, exactly right.
Okay, so what were the first few steps you took to get your business up and running for our viewers and listeners?
Well, the first thing I did was did some research to find out if anyone else had done what I was planning to do. And they hadn't. There were some similarities to some other sort of martial arts and therapy, but it was mainly just martial art, not combining the two. And then the next thing, I enlisted my friend, who's also my designer, to set up a website.
Fantastic. So, what have been your biggest challenges so far, would you say?
At the moment, apart from getting clientele, I'm trying to get into schools.
Mm,
And while I have managed to get into a few schools here in Melbourne, the hardest thing is trying to get into other schools, because as soon as they hear martial arts or boxing, it's almost, they're almost thinking that it encourages violence, but it's quite the opposite. It's actually teaching people to use their voices, building that confidence, that discipline, which is also required, in school, in the world we live in now, whether you're going to be working, which they will be down the track. So for me, schools is one of those hardest things, but I'm getting there and I'll keep persevering, because I think it's really important to have that as part of the curriculum.
I absolutely agree with you. And how do you think I mean, it sounds like they need the awareness and education. So how do you think you might overcome this challenge, of getting the right message across to schools?
Well, I've already sort of started in the process of it, because I worked at one of the schools, and the wellbeing teacher is actually a school teacher. So
Mm,
she helped me put together a program which incorporates what's in the curriculum. So,
great.
for example, it's a 6-week program that we ran, which looks at the different topics like leadership, like resilience, for example, confidence. And each session was, we used, boxing, but applied those sort of topics in amongst the sessions.
That's fantastic. That's a really good idea. And also would you go through the education department, for instance, and put a proposal through? And perhaps, would it be an idea? I mean, I'm amused, so these things happen.
That's all right. I'll take any suggestion.
Yeah, would it be an idea to put it, because you said, you mentioned that they don't understand the concept and they might actually think of it as violence. So would it be an idea perhaps to communicate what you do in their language? Does that make
which
sense?
is which is exactly what we're trying to do. And this teacher actually helped me, and I have other friends that are teachers as well who understand the concept. But of course, a lot of the times it's collecting data, which is what we're doing in this scenario. So it's more like a pilot program that I designed where I collect data in the beginning, just give them a questionnaire for the participants. And in this scenario, it was young girls and just asking really generalized questions about their well-being, etc. And then we're doing the same thing at the end to see if there are any sort of changes, improvements, and that's something that I can present as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really, really good. I'd love to hear more about what the girls said too, but not now, perhaps. So, how do you keep motivated through difficult times?
That's a very good question. I guess it's just, I guess it's in my DNA. I mean, we can't be great and motivated every single day, but because I'm very passionate about what I do, I've got to stick back to why I'm doing it, which is to help the kids. So as soon as I sort of lose a little bit, it's like, no, the main reason is working and doing this, this business for these young people. So that's what keeps me motivated.
Well, it sounds like you're living your purpose and passion. So, of course, your why will always be really, really strong. So, and I'm a huge advocate for that because it's the only way, really, when you're starting your own business, it can be quite challenging. So, if you're living your purpose and passion, then that why always stays strong, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Okay, so what is the best advice you've received recently, if any?
Doing things, taking things one step at a time. Because
Ah,
my problem is I want to be doing everything,
all at
you
once.
know, all at once. Exactly right. And I'll become overwhelmed and then I'll become anxious. And, it just trickles from there. So I've got a very good friend who says to me, one step at a time, one day at a time. And that's what I try and come back to.
It's really interesting you say that actually, and it's really good advice for our viewers and listeners because that one step at a time has come up in other interviews as well. So it's really, really good advice. It's the best solution for overwhelm. Okay, so okay, no, I nearly skipped a question and it's a really good one. What advice would you give to other aspiring female entrepreneurs?
If you're really passionate about something, go ahead and do it, but do your research first, just in case someone's created something similar to you, and always have that unique little niche in amongst your business, something that someone else hasn't got.
Yeah, that authenticity, your own stamp on things, yes?
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that. So next up, I want to ask you what your favorite business tools, resources are and why.
Uh, Probably podcasts. Love listening to business podcasts. I've been listening to a whole heap, and not just business, but different people who started from the ground up and how they did it. Other people, people that I'm friends with who have their own businesses. Books. I love reading and just those types of resources. Just trying to get information where I can from people.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so tell me, what are your goals and how are you striving to achieve them? Like
Well,
you
I
mentioned
have
going
one.
into schools at the moment. Is that
Sorry, say that again.
you mentioned going into the education system? Is that one of your
That,
goals?
that's one of the goals. Sponsoring soccer teams and stuff like that, like helping teams over, like instead of one individual at a time, going into groups
What a great idea.
and that type of thing. So I've been doing a few podcasts to get the word out there as well. What else have we got? Yeah, schools would be possibly my main thing as well, but just getting the word out there, I guess.
Okay, so let's get the word out right now. For our viewers and listeners, we want to hear from you. If you're in the education department and you can use Vickie's program is amazing. I mean, there's nothing, I'm a huge believer in combining different methods. So combining therapy with the physical aspect of martial arts is fantastic. So anyone in the education department, please contact Vickie. And also if you're in teams, in sports teams as well, right, Vickie?
Absolutely, yes. I think, not I think, that's where I want to go next because I've played soccer as well. I spent 5 years playing soccer and I've also been an international athlete as well. So I know that mindset very well.
Wow. You've
And
been
I
an
know
international athlete. Tell us about that.
absolutely. So one of the martial arts I did was Doce Eskrima, which is a Filipino martial art, which is AKA stick fighting.
It's
So
what fighting?
stick fighting. So sticks. So you use two cane sticks. Yeah. I mean, the words of stick fighting doesn't give it justice, but there is an art behind it.
Oh,
And basically, yes, I competed overseas for that as well,
that's
and competing
awesome.
overseas as well. So I understand that mindset, and that's I think why I want to. Not I think I know I want to work with teams, especially and do that sort of maybe a contra deal, sponsoring, and I'll give them my skills and background because I do, like I said, understand that mindset, and I know how hard it is to, if you lose a fight, how hard it is to get it back and just to keep going. So I want to encourage and work with young people in that sort of circle as well, be it boys or girls, teenagers.
I see.
Yeah.
That sounds like such a great purpose and passion to have. Okay, so next up, I want to ask you if you're currently running any promos, contests, or giveaways.
Well, there is going to be a promo soon. I'm just releasing an online program without giving too much away. It is a boxing program, but you also get to spend some time with me as well. And you can ask questions, be it personal questions, because obviously I am a counselor and psychotherapist. So the program is split into 4 different programs. So you can do for the busy people 15 minutes. There's a 30-minute program, 45, and a 60-minute program. We're just finalising with my designer, but that hopefully will be out in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Congratulations. So
Thank you.
I take it it's an online course, is it?
It is an online course. Yeah, it's my first one, so it'll be
Oh,
interesting
congratulations.
how it goes. But it's been in the making for a while, and I think now was a good time to sort of, get it out there and see what happens.
Well, you have to let us all know when it's out.
No
That's
problem. Thank
great.
you.
So tell me, what would you say to inspire other women?
Well, it depends in the context. If they're looking at, maybe looking to wanting to start a business but don't know what, take a look at your passions. Go back to your rawness, your realness. What was interested, what were you interested in as a kid or as an adult? Because I know, I'm not a mum myself, but obviously when life gets in the way, women who had started had ideas of doing whatever they wanted to do in their career or profession. Obviously, that somehow took a back seat to starting a family. So maybe going sort of back to that and what, you were interested in from the very beginning.
Oh, that sounds like great advice. Thank you so much. So, Vickie, tell me, how can we get in touch with you?
There's a few different ways. There is a website that I have, which is www.theloactivetherapy.com. You
Okay,
can,
sorry to stop you, but just for our viewers and listeners, can you spell that out, please?
okay, so it's www.TheloActivetherapy.com.
Fantastic. And what platforms are you on?
Platforms I'm on is LinkedIn as my own name, Facebook as my own name, and then with Instagram, I'm Thelo Active.
Instagram is Thelo Active.
Active, yep.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And our viewers and listeners, please get in touch with Vickie. She's doing amazing work with the kids. And thank you so much, Vickie, for being on the podcast today. And we wish you amazing success.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to spread the word, and congratulations again on your podcast.
Thanks, Vickie. Bye for now.
See you later. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Gotta Show podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. And if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, share, and we look forward to seeing you next time.